Hello, welcome to Chapter 12, Lesson 5. Today we're going to be talking about drawing and analyzing line plots. Here is a quick example of a line plot. It's just where we have a number line along the bottom and then we put X's to say how many votes each number got. So, yeah, that's what it says here too. So let's get started. Albert spun a spinner 16 times to see how often the spinner landed on each number. Display the data in a line plot. So here's the spinner that he spun. Does he have equal opportunity of spinning each number? Notice this. Look how much yellow he has to spin. He's probably going to spin a lot of ones, right? 3s and 4s are going to be really hard for him to land on because that space is so small. That's kind of probability that we're talking about there. But yeah, because half of the spinner is 1, right? And I would say about, this would be maybe 1/6, 1/6, right? And then these would be 1/12 of the spinner. Let's see, so 1/12 would be 2 1/12 would be a 1/6, which would be 3/6. Yeah, that's about what it is. So that's neither here nor there. That's not answering our question. I'm just kind of doing some thinking out loud. Here we go. Draw and label a line plot. Include all the values of the data. Give it a title. Okay, so numbers spun is our title just because it's the one that they used on our graph up there. Our table up there, sorry. Draw an X above the number for each result. So when we get a 0, here's my favorite way to do it. I'm going to go through it. I'm going to put a 0. Okay, I have one X there. Use that one. I have a 1. Okay, use that one. 2. Okay, use that one. A 1 again. Maybe I should be putting these on here so I don't get mixed up on which ones I've done. Okay, another 1. And another 2, a 0. Notice how all the X's are about the same size. That's really what we want. Another 1, another 1, another, or a 4. Oh, we haven't had a 4 yet. A 1, a 2. Oops, I'm marking on the wrong ones, you guys. God darn it. So let's see. I should have 1, 2, 3 zeros. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 ones. Another, or a 3. Okay, so 2s, I should have 1, 2, 3 2s. Oops, I missed a 2. Okay. I think that's right. Now, if you were more careful like me and not just putting X's down wherever you want to, come on, Mrs. Hamer, then you don't have to go back and double check. So, analyze the line plot. The number, or the spinner, landed on 1 the most, which makes sense because it's the biggest one. And 3 and 4, the least. Right? Which makes sense again because they were so small. So that's how I'm going to interpret this data. Use Albert's line plot to find the difference between the greatest number of X's and the least number of X's. Okay, so the greatest would be number 1. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The number most often spun was number 1. How do you know? Because it's the tallest. Has the most X's. Most X's. How many times was it spun? 8. We counted. 2, 4, 6, 8. Yep. Find the number spun least often, 3 and 4. How many times were each of these numbers spun? Only once. The difference between the greatest number of X's and the least number of X's would be 8 minus 1, and that would give us 7. Display this set of data in the line plot. Letters and siblings' names, number, and frequency. Again, frequency means how many times did they occur. So 2 should have 1x. 3 should have 0. 4 should have 2. Notice same size, same location. I'm trying to really line them up nicely. 5 should have 2. 6 should have 1. And 7 should have 2. Okay, so does a tally chart or a line plot make it easier to see how often numbers occur in a data set? Kind of the line plot does, don't you think? It's easier because you just have to look quick to see which one has the most. Whereas when you're looking at a frequency table or a tally chart, you have to kind of think more. You have to look at each one and make sure you're not missing anything. Whereas the line plot just shows it really simply. All right, can't read what's up here. Jory recorded the number of birds she saw at the bird feeder each day for 5 days. She displayed the data in a line plot. What is one conclusion you can make from this line plot? Okay, so we're looking here. One conclusion that can be made is that there were 3 birds at the feeder on 2 of the days, right? So 3 and 3, that's a conclusion we could make from that, right? So how many days were there 2 birds at the bird feeder? There were how many days? 2 days. Okay, really all 5 because all 5 had at least 2, but I'm going to guess they're looking for 2. 2 days, 3 and 4. Days 3 and 4, they had 2 birds at the feeder. How many days were there 3 or fewer birds at the feeder? So 1, 3, 4, and 5. So that would be 4 days. 4 days. How many days were there 3 or more birds at the feeder? So 1, 2, and 5. So there were 3 days where there were 3 or more birds at the feeder. For exercises 4 and 5, refer to the line plot that shows the number of states each student has visited. Cool. How many states have the most number of students visited? So the most, real quick, you can tell, is 2. 2 states. Because it's the tallest, right? How many students have visited 3 states? So I'm looking at this line here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 students have visited 3 states. Mrs. Sebring's class made a tally chart of the number of hours they spent on homework last week. Display this set of data on the line plot. Explain how you made your line plot to a friend or family member. All right, so I have to have 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours, and 11 hours along the bottom. So I should label that hours. Although it does have hours up here, but okay. So for 8, I should have 3 x's. For 9, I should have 1 x. 10, I should have 5 x's. And 11, I should have 3 x's. Okay, so there it is. There is my tally chart, my line plot. What is a line plot? It uses x's to display data, which is just numbers, right, on a number line. Test practice. Refer to the line plot in exercise 6. Uh-oh, I don't have that on here. What is the difference between the least number of hours spent on homework and the most number of hours spent on homework? I'm going to zoom back to that quick so I can do that. Now, this question's a little tricky because the most number of hours was 11 and the least number of hours was 8. Or do they mean that the most people spent? But this says the least number of hours and the most number of hours spent on homework. So I would need to take 11 minus 8, right? And so that would get me 3 hours. Would be the difference between the most number of hours spent working on homework and the least. number of hours spent working on homework. All right, that's all that I have for you today. Thanks for watching.